you're an incredible lyricist, obviously. Do you find that the more you write, the better your writing is, and the less you write, or when you back off of it, sometimes that it's almost like a muscle?
I guess I haven't backed off of it too often because I'm a slow writer. So to keep putting material out, I do have to.
Is it easy for you to write or hard?
No. Can I just end like that? No. Yes.
No. Yeah.
It is occasionally exciting in that a big surge of words will happen at once. But usually it is painstaking, and that I'll get little tiny snippets from the ether, like a little phrase that I think, oh, that's art, even if I overhear it. I don't know in what context it will ultimately fall, but I think, whatever you just said, that little gild the lily was a term I heard recently. Oh, I like that. Where will that land someday?
That's cool.
It's slow.
Now, I'm sure you're probably tired of telling your story, but I'm just so curious, what got you into this particular genre in the first place? Who were your people that you looked up to and you said, that's the sound that I want to emulate, or I want to do my own thing, but in that same type, in that same genre, if you will?
I'd wanted to be an essayist. I'd wanted to be a writer. And as a late teen and in my early 20s, I wasn't sure how to monetize that. I had no idea how to make rent as a writer, and I still don't totally. That's a tough field. At least it seems
Most
that way.
Most people can't.
Right?
Yeah.
So that had been my kind of initial entryway into the language arts. I liked working on a page. A friend of mine said, after a really bad breakup, you can't lay in bed anymore. I'm going to take you to a poetry slam. So I went to a poetry slam. Okay, now I saw this kind of performative element. She said, I think you could do this. And I said, I think I could too. Came back the next month, competed, won.
Wow.
Unbeknownst to me, the really good poets were out of town. And whoever won that night was obligated to compete for 1 year on behalf of the Minnesota Slam team.
Well,
I did so. Yeah, I did so. And then I ended up meeting a lot of the guys in the hip hop scene here. Heard of this crew called Doomtree, and they just blew me away. So for me, I think if I hadn't met Doomtree, I think my trajectory would be different, but the way that they worked floored me. So I was first a fan, then a friend, and then on a weekday they invited me over at midnight to say, will you join? And I called my mom and was like, I'm in Doomtree. And she was like, what's
awesome.
a Doomtree?
What's it?
Speaking of work, I mean, you did a mini tour of Minnesota yesterday and sold out the Fitzgerald last week and First Avenue this weekend, right? Tell us.
This week we're earning our keep, man.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Blitzing
is the word. To try to celebrate this new release and to really support it in a way that it's the biggest one we've done. So we booked 2 release shows, one at the Fitzgerald Theater, which is in St. Paul. It's this historic theater, red plush seats and, pretty lighting from every direction. Very, very nice. So we did a seated show there with like 11 instrumentalists on stage and strings and 2 drum kits and all that. And now, this week at First Ave, we'll present kind of the other side of the record, which is more aggressive at First Avenue, playing hard, playing loud.
Very cool.
Thinking about your first time that you walked into First Avenue,
Yes.
and did you ever imagine that I would be here and I would be selling this out?
I have delayed this for so long because I really wanted to make sure that the first time we played, it was full. So I have been sort of
Smart.
making up pansy excuse. Oh, we're busy this month. Oh, it's a bad season for this. I've been begging off for a few years because I was a little superstitious, a little neurotic about it. I really wanted a full house the first time we stepped on stage as a headliner at First Ave.
Because
Tell us-
Bobby knows there's something. Oh, yeah, go ahead. There's something
Well,
special about that place.
Yeah, I mean, I, as a kid, opened for some bands, local bands, rock bands, and the first time you play at First Avenue, you definitely feel like you made it somehow here. It's kind of our Broadway.
It is very much our Broadway. Yeah, so I had all the associations and the excitement and some of the nerves with playing that for the first time. So I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the band you're going to have at First Ave. Is it the same? It's different than the Fitzgerald?
It is, yeah. For the Fitz, we added a lot of players, so we did some of the strings and percussion. For this show, it's going to be primarily the core group of players with which I play on the road. So I've got Joey Van Phillips is on drums, Dustin Kyle, who plays really great guitar, keys, and then sometimes both at the same time, and triggers a lot of stuff with his feet, a lot of like extra sounds. Sean McPherson on stand-up bass and on handheld electric bass, normal bass. And Abby Wolf, who is a soprano I mentioned. She's just a killer vocalist. She does high harmonies. She does low harmonies. She can do, if you were into Disney, if you're my age, if you're in my demographic, I'm in my early 30s. She can do the entire bird calls from Snow White.
Oh, wow.
Jumping up the register into the
that tight
atmosphere.
30s stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool.
All the way up. She's just incredible. So those are the 5 of us are the core players, and then we'll add some vocalists here to do some harmonies. Caroline Smith, who can fill that venue in her own right, and Lizzo from the Chalice, who can also fill that venue in her own right.
Oh.
Now, what kind of thought went into deciding what singles to release? What song? I mean, because it's kind of tough. Some of the songs are kind of hard to figure out where they fit. Is it alternative? Is it pop? Is it this? Is it that?
Yeah, I'll be frank. When in making the record, I tried to be really deliberate about ignoring those concerns. For the music making process, I just wanted to write the best songs that I could. And that's already a very hard goal. Write really, really good songs is a goal enough.
Right.
After finishing them, it was like, okay, well, what have we got? What's an honest way to market it, to push it into the world? So I think some of them sound kind of like indie pop chamber ballads. I think that there's some
interesting description.
Some strong rap
chamber
songs.
ballad.
Maybe I'm just stringing together adjectives. Sometimes I feel like I'm the worst person to ask, but the album covers a lot of sonic territory.
And you're more singy on this one than you are rappy.
Yeah. Although I admit that there's 2 songs on it that I thought were rap songs. That Laserbeak, another dude in Doomtree. It's like, okay, those are sing ones. I said, they are? I thought they were rap ones. He said, no, I'm pretty sure those are sing ones. To me, it just feels like a spectrum. Like, well, am I singing but just really, monotone? Or am I rapping with a lot of notes? I don't know. There's a gray area in there.
Well, I like what you said about the mentality with the album going in. You compared it to, when you give somebody a mixtape, there's all sorts of different songs on there. Why can't my album sound like that?
I really thanks. Yep.
That's been
my question.
Prince's argument for many years. It's like why everybody song on the album shouldn't be the same. Doesn't have to be. You have to be true to yourself. And I think that this album, it really is true to yourself. We've been playing your stuff, and you can see your growth in production and your ability to put stuff together and lyric, as Eric mentioned. And we're just, proud of you here. We're in Minnesota, very proud of you.
The album is Parts of Speech. She is Dessa. Thanks for spending so much time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me and for the vote of confidence from very early on.
Yeah. Anytime. This is Warsaw as we leave. It's 96.3 K-Twin Radio for us.